Hello, everyone. I'm Perry Nemiroff with Collider, and I am here to welcome you to the global press conference for The Boogeyman. Joining us today is director Rob Savage.
Hello.
We also have Sophie Thatcher, who plays Sadie.
Hi.
Vivien Lyra Blair, who plays Sawyer.
Hello.
Chris Messina, who plays Will. Producer Dan Levine. David Dastmalchian, who plays Lester. And also producer Dan Cohn.
Hello.
All right, first off, I'm going to say huge congratulations to you all. I'm a big Stephen King fan, so the fact that this lived up to the story that haunted me for much of my childhood is much appreciated. So thank you for that. Rob, I wanted to start with you because this is a really great opportunity to play into the universal nature of what the Boogeyman is and the fact that everybody knows the Boogeyman or has a vision of it in their own head. So can you tell us one thing about the universal nature of that legend that you wanted to play into? But then I also want something that made your Boogeyman one of a kind and like nothing we've ever seen before.
Okay, wow. I mean, I think the thing that I was really aware of is that we didn't want people to leave the cinema thinking like, I've seen the Boogeyman, he's not all that scary. You know, and obviously these guys have to fight the Boogeyman at the end, so you had to show him. And so we had to create a creature, that felt like it made room for everyone's personal interpretation of the creature, that kind of spoke to the short story. The short story's got this kind of nightmarish, I won't ruin it, but it's got this kind of nightmarish ending where a character is revealed to be the Boogeyman. I guess I just ruined it. So we wanted to speak to that. And so the design was like, it was about creating something that you could glimpse just in the shadows. You could just see these kind of pinprick eyes staring out from the darkness. You know, for most of the movie, we're allowing it to kind of fester in the audience's head. And then when you finally see the creature, we came up with this kind of weird, messed up design whereby the creature kind of reveals itself to have dimensions beyond what we see. So there's still kind of room for people's own nightmares projected onto our creature, and yet we've got this horrific design which our team came up with, which will hopefully create some new nightmares.
Oh, we are going to come back to that. Dan, I'll throw this question to you because I did want to ask about the rating of the movie because I love me an R-rated horror movie, but I find myself especially impressed by PG-13 rated movies that can deliver R-rated scares but still adhere to the restrictions that rating comes with. So can you both talk us through deciding on that rating and also figuring out how far you could push it with it?
Yeah, it's interesting because we always thought of this as R, but we knew we had a PG-13 rating. But when I watch it, I think it's R. So I don't think that it plays like PG-13, but we definitely pushed the limit, and we thought we would get a lot more pushback on things to trim back on. But luckily, we didn't get those calls.
I think I thought that it was an R-rated movie until 2 weeks before.
We never told Rob.
Nobody told me, and we just had to go through and cut out all the F words, and everything else stayed miraculously.
I mean, I think it also speaks to what Rob and our cast did, in that it's a universal sort of accessible story, and it is very scary and unnerving. But like Rob was just talking about with the creature, a lot of it is what you're thinking might not be there, what goes bump in the night. And we talk about a couple of the more classic horror movies, and some of them aren't actually rated R, and the experience is still just as terrifying. So it ends up being this achievement, I guess, but I think it just speaks to that we wanted to make a story that felt really relatable and terrifying, and we were able to sort of sneak it through this.
I can't believe we got away with it.
Yeah.
Because you brought it up now a couple times, is there any particular thing, non-spoiler of course, that we see in the movie that you're especially surprised to have gotten away with?
The opening. Can you believe that opening got a PG-13?
Yeah, that's the one.
Okay,
Yes,
that's fair.
The baby.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's
we just spoiled that, I guess.
No, it's the opening scene.
the first scene of the movie. We're okay. Chris, I'll come your way and I'll preface this question by saying I think you stand out in every single movie you're in, but given all of your experience, is there anything you saw Sophie and Vivien do on the set of this film that made even you go, like, damn, I wish I had the courage to try that when I was first starting out in this business?
Everything they did. Yeah, they're remarkable. They're remarkable in this movie. They're so frustrating because they're so good. So I would go home every night and second guess everything I was doing. But, and they're remarkable human beings. They're really kind and cool people. You know, Rob did a great thing, which is it's not always the norm. As we had rehearsals, and those rehearsals were about 2 weeks long, and we went to the aquarium and we went bowling.
Yeah.
And we ate some food, and by the time we got to set, there was so much love and trust, and we had become a family.
Yeah, we had made memories.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite one, Vivien? A favorite thing you all did together?
I thought the aquarium trip was really fun. That was really awesome.
I was jealous about that one.
Solid pick
I
right
got
there.
an alligator stuffed animal and named it after you there, okay?
was-
So,
We've got a stuffed animal named after every single person on the crew.
it's
Pretty
true.
much.
It was a very sweet sentiment, but Mom had to get an extra suitcase.
I think we've all pinpointed the biggest winner on this production right now. Sophie, I wanted to come your way with a question from a quote that I read in the production notes. You had emphasized the importance of establishing character and starting an arc before the scares begin. So can you kind of walk us through some of your top priorities in terms of qualities of hers that you wanted to emphasize in those earlier scenes before things get dark and intense?
Yeah, I feel like for horror, it's just really important to build empathy for the character, or else you're not going to want to follow them on their journey, or nothing's going to feel earned. But I think for Sadie, just starting off with her, she's in such a distinct stage of grieving, and just dealing with that and making it feel real, and her relationship with her father feel tense and really complicated, and how hard it is that she's been having to like take care of her younger sister. So I think you kind of build empathy for her early on, and I definitely did reading it for the first time, but just to make her grieving feel lived in and real, because everybody grieves in different ways. There's no specific way to grieve, but
I think I remember the first thing you said to me is you said, I'm so sick of playing cool characters. I want Sadie to be a loser.
I did say that, yes, and I don't think Sadie's cool.
It's true.
I think she's way cooler than her friends in the movie.
She is. They're
She
mean.
is. She is. All right, Vivien, I have a two-part question for you to learn a little bit about Sawyer. Can you tell me about her greatest weakness in this fight against the Boogeyman, her fear of the dark? But then I also want her greatest strength, something you think can help her defeat the Boogeyman.
Fascinating. I think Sawyer is this really complex character, because you start the movie seeing her as like this little girl who's terrified of the dark and is just a little bit of a scaredy cat, to be honest. And then as you really get to see how her character grows, she's going through so much and no one believes her about it. And she has every right to be scared. And you realize that, like, once you start to see, like, you actually start to see the Boogeyman. And, you know, I'm trying to put this as best I can without spoilers. But like, in the final, like, I like to call it the boss fight in the basement, I think Sawyer really gets to come through as this courageous, heroic little girl who goes through so much in this period of like a week, and she comes out stronger for it. And it's just such an incredible character arc, and she's just one of my favorite characters I've ever played.
I don't blame you one bit. All right, David. You have a lot of heavy lifting to do in this. We know how difficult it is to bring Stephen King source material to screen in a way that satisfies longtime fans. And a lot of that is on your shoulders with the therapy scene in this film. So what is something you wanted to do to pay homage to the original short, but then I also want to know something you strove to do to craft that scene in a way that makes it serve this particular story as well?
Such an immense amount of pressure, definitely from, you know, the fact that you're bringing a character to life from the imagination of the king, but also because the place that Lester's coming from is just one of those corners of the human experience that nobody really would care to ever spend time in. And so the challenge of even having the courage to be willing to go there was the first challenge for me. I think it was just, I didn't feel like I had the capacity probably to embody Lester in a way that would do justice to the film that Rob was going to make. And I have a long-time friendship with Dan, who we were talking, in prep for this, and I was just like, I'm scared. And he's like, well, I want you to meet Rob, and I think he'll help you get the courage that you'll need. And it worked, because Rob is not only a brilliant and visionary filmmaker, he's got this heart that is just, really beautiful place. So coming from the short, which I was familiar with, really enjoyed, always thought it was terrifying. I grew up in a part of the country that feels like I grew up with a lot of the Lesters that existed in the short story, and I wanted, and the way that the script reflected this, to bring what maybe Lester looked or moved like at a different time, because that was probably written in the early 80s, I think, late 70s, to 2022, which is when we were shooting it. And I felt like there was a way I could kind of find something that everybody watching, it's so hard, because you want the guy to be, he has so much information to convey, and you need him for the audience to relate to him, and for him not to be any kind of like trope or like, I don't know. It's weird, it's tricky, it's hard to talk about, but Rob was such a great guide on it. And then Chris, as soon as I sat down with him, the energy that started going between us was so powerful. I prepared, of course, like I had a lot of thoughts and ideas going into this, but you show up and you just throw that stuff out, and you try to just be present and listen, and it was pretty awesome.
You always come across as especially fearless in your work to me, so it's fascinating to me that anything scares you.
God, that's incredible that you
I
would
mean
say
it.
that. Thank you.
I mean it.
It's terrified. It's terrifying stuff, and it's great. It's such a thrill to get to be with people you trust, and you can throw yourselves off a cliff and know that they're there to catch you, and that they're gonna protect you. And Lester suffered. There's mental anguish and spiritual anguish that all these characters are going through, and to go to that place just for thrills and chills, it's not really worth it to me. I feel like there's something deeper in this story that I think is why it's connecting so intensely with people. And of course, you're going to get the crap scared out of you when you really care about people who have these incredible bonds that you can relate to, and who feel the fears that we can all relate to. Do I think that there's maybe somebody hiding in my closet? No. Am I terrified that the things that I've struggled with in my life are always looming around the corner or under my bed or just down the hall, and they could pop out at any second and take me over? Of course I am. Don't we all feel that way sometimes, right? Like, it's crazy. Sorry.
I am going to turn to some of our audience questions now. I'm going to remind everyone out there that you use the Q&A function to submit a question, so please do that, and we will get to as many as possible. I am going to start with one from one of the biggest Stephen King fans I know, Eric Eisenberg from Cinema Blend. Dan, this one is for you. What kind of communication was there with Stephen King when you recognized the adaptation possibilities for The Boogeyman and pursued the short story?
So this is a really a fun one, I guess, because most of our interaction with him was done through his amazing manager, Rand Holston, but we would also get feedback so quickly that it was sort of fascinating to me. Like when we
by the hour.
Yeah, truly. Sometimes 10 minutes where I was like, I couldn't return an email this quickly, and it's going to Stephen King and back. Like when we were casting, our group here, he would weigh it. We would get forwarded such specific love and everything, and so a lot of it was that way, but that changed, I think, as it evolved when he saw the movie, and then he emailed us directly, as he did Rob, who's become friends with him, and he became a huge champion of it, and was, I think, a key force behind this becoming what is now a theatrical release, which wasn't the original design.
Yeah, he sent an email saying it's a real shame. I love this film. It's a shame it's not out in theaters. And we use that as a starting point for a conversation with the studio, who also loved the film, and now we're going to be on big screens.
As it should be. That communal scare. It's great on the small screen at home, but you can't replicate that by yourself. All right, I'm going to go to a question from Molly from Metro Philly for Sophie. Every horror movie has its champion or hero, and most times they are just as terrified and vulnerable as we would be in those situations. But what traits in those characters, including Sadie, do you think help them prevail?
I think Sadie is incredibly resilient, and I think she's smart, she's resourceful, she's young, but she's also been, like I said, fending for herself her entire life. She's emotionally very mature, she's present. Sadie is a badass.
All right. Chris, I'm coming your way with a question from Rachel from the Mary Sue. Your career has spanned a great many genres throughout your career, from comedy to drama and everything in between, but horror is a different beast. What is it about this genre that appeals to you as an actor?
You know, I've been so lucky to work on the different genres, and you get to learn every time out, and certainly from these people I learned a ton. I don't think you kind of, for me, I work on them all the same in that you just try to find out how you can service the story, how I can be there for the people in the scenes with me. This was a lot of fun because I had never really done, and I didn't do a whole lot of it here, but some green screen stuff. So we had this great actor. I don't know his name, but he was in. Do you guys know his name?
Can't remember the creature performer.
Yeah.
Oh, Michael, right?
Yes.
Michael?
I'm going to say yes.
That's great.
Yeah.
Thank you, Viv. Anyway, he had this green jumpsuit on, and he was remarkable. And he would scare us and jump out at us and chase us. And
I remember it was like a ping pong ball style suit.
yeah,
right?
it had like ping pong balls
Yeah.
attached to it. And he was awesome. So I'd never done that. It was fun to learn that. And then sometimes we were just, and I'm sure you guys did a lot more of this than me, but you were just acting into the abyss, into the darkness, with Rob kind of guiding you. And that's why it helps to have someone that really, really, really knows the genre and that you trust in. It was apparent early on that Rob knew where we should go, and if we listened and trusted him, we'd find the way. So it was fun.
Rob, I'll follow up on that a little bit to talk about your Boogeyman here. In particular, I'd love to hear about the decision to make this a digital creature instead of practical, because there is often conversation on which way is better to go and which would service the visual style of the film best.
I mean, I was pushing for practical for a lot of the movie, and the fact
said
is,
no.
What's that?
I said no.
Viv wouldn't do it if we had a real Boogeyman. It had to be Ping Pong Man. We just, I mean, the thing that made me relent in the end was that we just couldn't lock into our design for the creature until very late in the day. You know, we went around the houses on what this creature should look like and how best to represent the Boogeyman and even what his final form looks like when you finally see him at the end. And so it was just, it kind of immediately became apparent that one, we wouldn't have enough time to build a suit, and two, the things that we had to have this creature doing, practical would be very cumbersome. It would add on to our days. You know, we shot 34 days, so we didn't have a huge amount of time to be messing around with a practical suit. Although that was definitely how I saw this originally, and it's testament to our artists at Folks, who are the VFX company who created our creature. We had a Boogeyman head that we had printed, 3D printed, and slathered in KY jelly and lit by Eli Bourne, our incredible cinematographer. And we had that in every single scene. We had a shot like that we could show the VFX people and say, that's what a real Boogeyman head looks like. It's got to look like that.
I didn't like the head. I kept asking for the tennis ball, but Rob would be like, no tennis ball.
Viv, when we were doing the ADR, I showed Viv the first scene where she sees the Boogeyman, and it freaked you out so much that you wouldn't look at the screen for the rest of the ADR. So I had to explain. I had to explain what was happening.
Yeah, I would be like, no, give me the black screen, please.
Yeah. But then,
please.
but then the first time that we showed Viv the movie, me and everyone on the VFX team, we didn't want Viv to not be able to watch the movie. So as prep, we gave her the Boogeyman head, which I think now sits in your
It does.
bedroom.
It's now wearing a bucket hat and a scarf in our living room. Yeah.
This makes me
As it
so
should
happy. Vivien, here's a good question to follow up on all this for you from Tessa, Mama's Geeky. She wants to know, this movie is terrifying. Were there any times during filming where you got really scared?
Not really. I think everybody really made the environment so comfortable. I like to joke that when the movie is scarier, the people are nicer to you on set because they know they're being scary in the movie, like especially actors who play scarier characters. So they want to be as nice to you as possible, like in real life, to kind of even that out. So actually what Chris was kind of talking about, Michael, who did the mocap stuff, he was just super nice. He would show me how to do like back bends and stuff, and we would talk, and he would show me cool things, and Mom would be like, "No, I don't like that," when he would like walk down the stairs in a back bend and stuff. But yeah, I think it was really it felt like a safe environment to be around in, and especially with Rob and Sophie and Chris and everybody here, they made it just so amazing to be on set.
Well, it was so much fun, wasn't it? I think one thing that people don't appreciate a lot is that we improvised a lot, we played around with the script a lot. These guys are so much fun to play around with. Every day we'd say, well, this is the scene, how can we make the best version of this? How can we make this come to life? I know, Chris, that was from our first conversation, that was something we spoke about, like how can we make this not just feel like another horror movie with a horror movie family? We want this to feel authentic. You know, we've spoken about this before, but one of the movies we referenced was Ordinary People, and trying to get that kind of authenticity. And like some of the best, funniest, most heartbreaking lines, moments in this movie, you guys improvised in the moment, or we kind of like, we were making notes on the script as we were playing around with it. And like, that's what, like, the movie has so much life in it because of these guys and because of that process of just, you know, throwing ideas around constantly.
Yeah.
I'll
Throwing
follow up
cheese.
And
Throwing
a
cheese.
lot of cheese.
Yes, it was. Yes, I remember there's the scene in the movie where it's during the sleepover scene, and we're in the kitchen and he's making pizza, and I'm just like downing mozzarella cheese while playing with Legos, and he does this little like silly song, which I could totally see my own dad doing. So I did what I would have done to my own dad, and I threw mozzarella cheese at him, and it was just such a perfect shot because it was just him and then me just going and throwing the cheese.
And he's so downtrodden in that moment as well.
And then it's just like a close up of him just being hit with cheese and then going, thanks.
Should have been in the trailer.
So that gives us a taste of the father-daughter relationship there. We have a question about the sister relationship, though, from Jana at Gazetta News. How did you two create the sister relationship on set, and what was we covered the most scary scene to film, so how did you two develop the chemistry that we see in the film?
Well, we did have that point where we went to the aquarium together, and like we had a lot of like family bonding moments. But I remember there is this thing specifically where in the therapist's office, which is now in the trailer, there was this little like toy kitchen that like a lot of kids would have, and we were playing with it, and for some reason I kept making it about avocado toast. We created a whole restaurant just around avocado toast.
I would go to that restaurant.
Made me this bracelet
and so
today.
it's been kind of our thing. So we keep giving each other gifts that are like avocado toast. Like we both gave each other socks. I gave her a bracelet and a stuffed animal today. So it's been kind of our little bond that keeps us close together, which is randomly avocado toast. And I don't even really like avocado toast. It just randomly became a thing, and it's just a really sweet thing that we have together, and it's something that sisters would have as well.
Now I need to give my sister a bracelet that says avocado toast on it.
That becomes a thing.
Here's a question from Tommy at New Rock Stars for everyone. Anyone can feel free to chime in on this. What type of horror movies scare you most? Ones with jump scares or ones with terrifying themes that stay with you well after the movie?
I think definitely themes for me, because like with this one, kind of like David was saying, it has this realistic terrifying theme of grief, of how, like, if you don't let go of your grief, it comes back to haunt you. And I think definitely movies like that are always more terrifying, ones that you can really relate to. And even if it's not like a terrifying physical entity, it's still something that is going to hurt you later on if you don't let go of it. And it's just so real, and it makes it all the more terrifying.
Such a great answer.
That is a great answer. Does anyone dare try to
I
top
can't
that?
say it better than that.
I just want to stand up for jump scares, because I think jump scares get a lot of bad press, but I think great jump scares, there's nothing better. And I think one has to earn the other. I think if you've got great underlying themes and the audience feels like you've invested in the characters and you're actually trying to say something, it's totally fine to have something, burst out of a closet and scare the
that's a
hell
really
out of
good
you.
point,
I
yeah.
think a bit of both is fun. It's like turning a valve. You've got to know when to release it and when to keep the tension.
All right, we have one more question. This is it. I want to do a question for everyone here. I'm gonna get real cheesy with this, so I'm sorry in advance, but I love
She
this
might
question.
throw the cheese.
It's appropriate now. Cheese and avocado, what a combo. Of everything you each individually accomplish in this movie, what is something that now makes you say to yourself, damn, I am proud of what I helped bring to screen there? Something individual, like for yourself.
I'll start. I'll just say bringing together this incredible group of people. It's one thing to get a script in great shape, but to find the right director and the right cast, once you do that and set them in motion, it's the best thing to watch.
Yeah, I think for me, like I was saying earlier, Sawyer is just this amazing, heroic character, and I am just really excited that I got to portray her on screen, and I really feel like, and I hope that I did her justice in all of her greatness.
Can confirm you did.
100%. It's always super gratifying when you plan a great scare and you sit there in an audience and you see everyone jump and throw their popcorn. But I've watched this movie more than any other movie that I've made, and I think the reason that the stuff that I always get completely lost in, it's these moments of performance that you guys brought. It's moments that weren't planned. It's moments where I can see your personality shining through, and like we kind of captured that in the DNA of the movie. And that's the stuff that I keep going back to and I keep kind of discovering new things that I didn't even realize were in there.
For me, I'd say again, like I said, I was really scared about the preparation for this and going into the set the first day, but I did a lot of work with my body to prepare for this role, which may seem strange because when you see the film, Lester's pretty still. But something I've learned about myself as an actor recently is, even though I really pride myself on utilizing my imagination and skills and tools to try and fake, emotional states of being so that the audience believes it's real, even though I know we're just going to do it 30 more times and I'm going to, go have lunch in a minute. That body absorption of what you're experiencing is, it doesn't know the difference. And knowing where we were going and where I would need to go for this particular role, I did a lot of new kind of techniques in body work that I'm grateful I did, because it felt like it made it possible for, Rob, like I said, he makes you safe. He gives you incredible, warmth and comfort. And Chris was just the best scene partner I could have asked for. But Rob does push you, and he really doesn't. He sees what you're capable of, and he wants you to go always a step further. So it was. I was pleased that we could bring that together, and I was glad that I did the work I did so we could do all day just going where we needed to go. And I feel like when we finished, we were still ready to, like, you want to go again? And he was like, no, we got it.
Anyone else want to chime in before we wrap this up?
You got something? I'm just happy that we were able to create such well lived in and real characters. I'm proud of all of us for that, and that's very much because you were there for us and we had those rehearsals. But yeah, it was terrifying going into it, not knowing what to expect, and also just like not knowing, like, working with younger actors. But she is the most I'm so proud of her just watching it for the first time. She's incredible. I'm so proud of you. You are a little genius.
No.
It's true.
It's definitely true.
I think I'm gonna They were all spot on, all these proud moments here. I think, I want to say, though, I think it's a beautiful script, and it had so much there for us, but I'm proud of all of us under Rob's leadership that we never left a day where we didn't comb through how we can make it better, do something different. So that's really to all of us.
Dan, I'm not letting you off
No,
the
that's
hook.
Totally fine. I mean, I think any Stephen King fan will agree that this is one of his best, and it's saying a lot, but like more iconic short stories. And it's 7 pages long, so we had to expand on it. But I do think I feel that we did the story justice, which is a very hard thing to do. And you've heard from all of us how much fun we had, and I think elevated everyone's game. But I'm just also proud to have made Rob's first studio movie, because I think it's going to be the first of many. And marrying wanting to do ordinary people with something with jump scares and a creature sounds kind of nuts. But I think it works really well, and each of those two worlds elevates one another. You wouldn't get that without these amazing performances, but we've been fans of Rob's for a while, and we're privileged enough to make his first studio movie, and it's people are going to really be impressed by it. So, yeah.
I think the faith was not misplaced. I will say congratulations to all of you on The Boogeyman, and thank you to everybody out there watching, and thank you for participating and submitting questions. Do not forget The Boogeyman is exclusively in theaters beginning Friday, June 2nd. Thanks a lot, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.